Have you ever wondered why the more you chase after someone, the further they seem to slip away? Or why, when you finally pull back and ignore them, they suddenly reappear, craving your attention? It may seem like a mind game, but it's actually rooted in human psychology, and once you understand it, you can take back your power. This isn't about manipulation or playing hard to get. It's about tapping into the deep psychological truths that govern attraction, attention, and desire. When you ignore someone, you don't just become mysterious, you disrupt their sense of certainty. You make them question their choices, their feelings, and even their sense of self-worth. Today, we're breaking down the 10 powerful psychological reasons why ignoring someone can be far more impactful than pursuing them. If you've ever found yourself exhausting your energy, chasing validation or affection, it's time to flip the script. Step into your power. Understand the game. Not to play it, but to rise above it. But before we dive in, like this video, and if you're new here, subscribe for more insightful content like this, and leave a comment saying, "I subscribed," so I can welcome you personally. Let's begin. 1. People crave what they can't have. It's a fundamental truth of human psychology. Scarcity breeds desire. When something is rare or just out of reach, it becomes infinitely more appealing. This concept, known as the Scarcity Principle, explains exactly why ignoring someone can make you more desirable. When you're always available, your presence becomes expected. But when you pull back, suddenly your attention becomes a luxury, and people chase luxury. Think about high-end brands. They don't flood the market with their products. They create exclusivity, limited editions, long wait lists, elite access. Why? Because the fewer people who can have it, the more people want it. Human relationships work the same way. When you ignore someone, not out of spite, but from a place of self-respect, you're sending a clear message. My time and energy are not handed out freely. That kind of energy captivates. It creates curiosity. It plants a question in their mind. Why aren't I the center of your attention? What are you doing that's more important than me? Scarcity triggers FOMO, the fear of missing out. And that's one of the most powerful motivators in existence. When you're not easily accessible, they begin to feel that fear. The anxiety of losing your presence makes them work harder to regain it. Let's be clear. Ignoring someone isn't about manipulation or childish games. It's about truly valuing yourself and allowing the space for others to realize your worth. If they're not chasing you, they're likely chasing someone else, someone who understands that being elusive isn't weakness, it's strength. 2. Chasing exposes your insecurity. Every time you chase someone, you're silently admitting a harsh truth. You don't believe you're enough as you are. That eagerness, that constant need for their attention, it seeps insecurity. And insecurity is a massive repellent. It doesn't inspire attraction. It invites pity, or worse, disregard. Desperation isn't just in your words. It's in the way you double text, the way you over-explain, the way you orbit their world, hoping for a scrap of validation. And while you're doing all this, they're losing interest. Fast. Why? Because you're showing them that you place their approval above your own self-worth. That kind of imbalance isn't attractive, it's exhausting. Now contrast that with what happens when you ignore them. You're not playing cold. You're simply showing that your happiness doesn't hinge on them, that you're whole without their validation. And that energy, confident, self-sustained, and unapologetic, is magnetic. Social psychology research consistently shows that people are drawn to those who project confidence and independence. By ignoring someone, you're saying, "I don't need you, I choose you." And choosing is power. This quiet confidence cuts through the noise. While others clamor for attention, you stand apart. Insecure behavior breeds doubt. Confident detachment commands respect. Ignoring someone isn't rejection, It's revelation. It reveals who's really interested and who's only there when it's easy. Stop begging for someone to see your worth. Start standing in it. 3. It shifts the power dynamic. When you chase, you give the other person all the leverage. You elevate them to a pedestal they didn't earn, and in doing so, you shrink yourself. You hand them emotional control. They decide when to reply, how to treat you, and whether or not you're enough. But the moment you stop chasing and begin ignoring, everything changes. The spotlight shifts. Now they're the one left in uncertainty, wondering why your attention vanished and what they did to lose it. That silence becomes louder than any message you could send. It makes them question their decisions, rethink their value in your life, and reconsider how much effort they're willing to make. Ignoring someone doesn't mean you're heartless. It means you've reclaimed your self-respect. You've stopped asking to be chosen and started choosing yourself. That shift is powerful. It forces them to either rise to your level or fall away completely. And either outcome is a win. Power dynamics in relationships are often invisible, but they shape everything. When you chase, you become the seeker. When you ignore, you become the standard. As Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." In this context, you become their why, the person they now feel compelled to understand, impress, and reconnect with. Chasing makes you look like a beggar. Ignoring transforms you into the prize. It's not about playing games. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to hand your power over to someone who hasn't earned it. 4. Ignoring creates emotional space. One of the most overlooked elements of attraction is space. Emotional space. Mental space. The room to think, to feel, to miss. When you're constantly chasing someone, texting, calling, showing up in their feed or inbox, you're suffocating their ability to process how they really feel about you. You're so present, so persistent, that they never get a chance to experience your absence. And that's where true desire grows. By ignoring someone, you give them something rare: silence, space to breathe, time to reflect. And that reflection is what often leads to realization. They begin to notice the void you left. They remember the conversations, the laughter, the energy you brought, and suddenly, you're not just a name in their phone. You become a memory they can't shake. Absence makes the heart grow fonder isn't just a cliché. It's a psychological truth. But it only works if you actually step away, not pretend, not half pull back, truly disappear. And in that space, if they value you, they'll come searching. If they don't, that's your answer and your freedom. Ignoring isn't about being cold, it's about being wise. It's about giving them the distance to feel your impact and giving yourself the space to grow beyond the need for their approval. When they're ready, they'll reach out with clarity. If not, you've already evolved past waiting. 5. Ignoring signals strength. There is nothing more attractive than someone who owns their strength. Not loud, performative strength, but quiet, composed, unwavering resilience. When you chase someone, you're handing them the script to your emotions. You're showing that your happiness hinges on their response. That lack of emotional control, it reads as weakness. But when you ignore someone, especially when it would have been easier to beg for attention, you're broadcasting something far more powerful. I don't need you to be okay. That message, subtle, steady, and sure, commands respect. Strength doesn't mean shutting off your feelings, it means managing them. It's choosing to prioritize your peace over their indecision. It's knowing that rejection is redirection, not a death sentence. And most importantly, it's holding the line even when your emotions beg you to break it. This kind of emotional self-discipline is rare and magnetic. People are drawn to those who can stay centered, who aren't swayed by fleeting affection or mixed signals. When you ignore someone, you're saying, I don't chase, I attract. Not because you're playing games, but because you know your worth and you won't compromise it. You don't need to convince anyone to choose you. Stand firm, stand tall. Be the one who doesn't flinch when someone else wavers. 6. People chase what feels out of reach. Human nature is driven by challenge. We are wired to pursue the things that seem just beyond our grasp. Psychologists call this the chase effect, a powerful principle that explains why ignoring someone often draws them in faster than giving them constant attention. When you pull away and focus on yourself, you create a sense of scarcity, and scarcity breeds value. You're no longer readily available, and in that perceived distance, desire grows. Think about it. Why do people covet luxury items, exclusive events, or limited edition releases? Because they're hard to get, rare, special. That same dynamic applies to relationships. By ignoring someone, not out of spite, but from a place of inner fulfillment, you stop being just another option and start becoming the challenge they can't ignore. You're no longer trying to win them over. You've made yourself someone worth chasing. And the beauty of it, you're not faking it. You're genuinely prioritizing your life, your peace, your growth. That authenticity paired with unavailability creates an irresistible combination. When you stop chasing, you become the chase. Let the psychology work in your favor. 7. Ignoring encourages self-reflection. When you remove yourself from someone's life, you give them the one thing they can't get when you're constantly around: perspective. When you chase someone, you give them a distraction from their own actions. They never have to ask themselves the hard questions because you're still there doing the emotional labor for both of you. But when you go quiet, when you truly step back, that silence forces introspection. They're left alone with their thoughts, with the reality of your absence. And that's when real self-reflection begins. Suddenly, they have to sit with the consequences of their choices. They wonder why you stopped reaching out, what changed, and, most importantly, what they might have lost. This creates a deeper level of emotional awareness, which can lead to real change and a more meaningful connection if they return. Ignoring isn't punishment, it's clarity. It's giving them space to realize what mattered, without you constantly reminding them. Because people can't miss what they never lose. Your absence becomes the mirror they need to see themselves more clearly. And if they come back, they do it with intention. If they don't, then they were never going to rise to meet your worth in the first place. Either way, you win. 8. Ignoring shows that you're busy, and that's attractive. There's nothing more magnetic than someone deeply immersed in their own life. When you ignore someone, you're not being cold. You're sending a silent but powerful message. I have better things to do than wait around for you to make up your mind. This isn't about faking it. It's about actually living it. When your time is consumed by meaningful goals, passions, and growth, you naturally stop chasing anyone who's unsure about you. And that self-sufficiency, that quiet grind, it radiates confidence. It tells the world, I'm focused, I'm fulfilled, and I don't need anyone's validation to keep moving forward. Confident people don't chase, they attract. Their energy speaks for itself. Their lifestyle draws people in. And when you ignore someone because you're genuinely invested in your journey, you become the person they can't stop thinking about. Why? Because you're no longer centered on them. You've become the mystery, the one who got too busy to notice their silence. And here's the twist. When they see you thriving, living fully, succeeding without them, it creates curiosity. Why aren't they texting me? What's occupying their time? Why am I no longer a priority? That wondering becomes desire. That distance becomes pull. If they don't want to be a part of that journey, then they were never meant to walk it with you. And that's okay, because your path is still unfolding, with or without them. So stop waiting, stop chasing, start thriving. Let your success and independence speak louder than words, because the moment you prioritize yourself, everything and everyone starts to shift in your favor. If you've made it this far, drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. And if you're hungry for more insights like this, check out the video recommended on your screen right now. Thanks for watching, and remember, your value doesn't need validation, it needs recognition.